Welcome into NHL Tonight First Shift for Monday, April the 14th, 2025. EJ Raddick here in New Jersey. Billy Jaffe up in Massachusetts. Jaff, how are you? It's the final week of the regular season.
I'm outstanding. Even better that I get to start my week with you on First Shift, my friend.
So kind
How was your weekend? There was a lot of good hockey, and congratulations to Western Michigan.
Yeah.
Winning their first ever NCAA championship.
That's right. Very much so. Western Michigan beating BU in the national championship game on Saturday night. And as you point out, first ever trip to the Frozen Four, from what I understand, for Western Michigan.
Yes.
And then their first ever national championship. And they enjoyed every second of it. So congratulations to everybody with Western Michigan, because that is a big moment, certainly, in the history of that program. And just a great job by those guys. I want to bring in our guy, J.D. Lindberg. J.D., good to see you. 4 more days left, J.D., in the regular season. We got games Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then the playoffs start Saturday. We got 2 games on Saturday. From what I'm hearing, and I think we can count on maybe the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche having a game 1 on Saturday, but still everything unofficial. But we will be here for the viewers, correct?
Indeed, we will. The First Shift will be running all the way through till the Stanley Cup Final. And for those who don't know, we are available every single day, every show that we do on YouTube as an audio-only podcast. Susan, our director here, she wanted to do a little research. She hadn't worked on the show in a while, so she wanted to see what we've been up to. Went to YouTube and thought, well, where the heck's the video? Well, YouTube, we are audio only. Susan, show them the full screen here. Front 3. This is where you can find us. Each and every day. We are on NHL Network first here. Video, audio, the whole shebang, multimedia from 4 to 5, Monday through Friday. We'll be on game days during the conference final and the cup final. Okay. So that's a little programming note for down the road. But yeah, you're right. Playoffs right around the corner. Hopefully we are rounding into playoff form.
So if there's days you don't catch us on NHL Network, you can always go to YouTube. You're doing your little workout, like
YouTube
Billy Jaffe.
Music too.
Billy Jaffe on the bike. You can listen, driving around, driving home. You can hear us. So there you go.
Catch us on your commutes home.
There
All right,
you go.
let's get going.
Let's get to first things first, JD. Let's get moving here, because we do have some important games tonight. We got a couple of spots still in the balance, and in the East, 1 spot left. And the Montreal Canadiens, we thought maybe they could have wrapped it up over the weekend. Those back-to-back games, they lost to Ottawa, then they lost Toronto in overtime, so they're close. But they need a win, because the pesky Blue Jackets took care of business against the Washington Capitals over the weekend. So they need a win tonight, playing the Hawks. And you can see here, big news. It's Demidov debut day, the KHL's all-time single-season points leader by a U20 player. Ivan Demidov, he will suit up for the Habs tonight. He was the 5th overall pick in the 2024 draft. Jaff, 6'1", 192. And he already has something that I'm really the most jealous of. I think he got to meet Celine Dion, or at least he got his name. He got his name set at the draft in Vegas last year by Celine Dion. She was there to make the pick for the Canadiens. So interesting time for him to arrive on the scene, because the Canadiens still need to get 2 points in these last 2 games, and they certainly would love to wrap it up against Chicago tonight.
Boy, is it ever. Is this going to be the big, adrenaline rush that they need? I mean, there's so much fanfare around this kid, I mean, he was welcomed at the airport. You had people waiting for him, and it was crazy, right? You read about it, see some video, and they're excited because this guy has got crazy good skill. He is such... And talking to people that know him better than I do, that have seen him, as you take a look at where they expect to have him start on the left side with Newhook and Yoel Armia tonight, they are talking to players. The people that know him say the player is so well-rounded. They say he's got an unpredictability to his game that keeps guys off guard. He can do everything. He's so creative. Beat you with his speed, his skating, his hands, his vision. He had a very successful career in St. Pete with SKA for a couple years. Yep. I mean, that's where he's been playing since he's basically been a youth, and played with Kuznetsov a bit this year. So he had when I say a taste of the NHL, meaning probably talked to him about the lifestyle, et cetera. here you go now. Now he's in Montreal. Oh, man, this place is going to be bonkers tonight with him and where the team obviously is at trying to make the playoffs a sure thing.
Yeah, in 65 games in the KHL this year for St. Petersburg, 19 goals, 49 points. And talking to people who have seen him play and are more familiar with his game, they said, he's one of these guys that he attacks inside the dots, which I love to hear, because you get over, in Europe and you're on that big rink sometimes and you're outside the dots. But people tell me he wants to get inside and make plays. Some people have compared him to a Hossa or a Kucherov type player. I mean, that's always lofty praise. But just to give the viewer, the listener, a little idea of this is the type of player that they think this guy could be, scouts who've seen a lot of players over the years. So we'll see how it plays out for him tonight. And it's interesting playing the Hawks because remember now, Billy, right? The Hawks had the second overall pick last year, and they could have taken Demidov, and they decided to pass, and they went for a defenseman in Levshunov. And Levshunov has come in this year, he started in the minors, and has played very well for them. And they were probably looking at, hey, this is a guy that can be an anchor on our defense for years to come. But it is kind of an odd circumstance or coincidental that they would be playing Chicago tonight.
Yeah, the hockey gods, right? We like to have a funny way of working things out. And in this case, you could probably look at almost every draft I'm guessing, and say, this team could have taken that guy, and they didn't. So, but it's fun, and your connection is dead on. Listen, this Chicago Blackhawk team's I just saw them the other night. They got so many young players. Levshunov is one of them right there. How about the play of Brinzel? Man, has he been good lately in his couple of games, 6-7 games with the Blackhawks, playing over 20 minutes in each one, the kid out of Minnesota. But, they felt that they needed to have their defense taken care of. The other night, Agent, just a tangent real quick here, Chicago's oldest defenseman was 23 years old. They had two of them. The rest of them were all under 23. So crazy young. They're trying to build it up, but we're going to see a chock full, a bevy of great young talent on the ice tonight in Montreal between the Blackhawks and the Canadiens. The Blackhawks will not have Alec Martinez or Pat Maroon up there. Does that, what does that mean? It means, they announced the retirement to let the young kids play right now. But I think it should be a very fun, an absolute electric atmosphere for a regular season game up in Montreal.
No question about it. And I'll leave you with this. The Columbus Blue Jackets fans will be watching. They're on edge. They're all Chicago Blackhawk fans tonight. It was just 2 years ago, down the stretch, the New York Islanders figured they were out of the playoffs. Figured they were done. Pittsburgh Penguins, all they had to do was beat the Chicago Blackhawks. I would say a much less talented Blackhawk team 2 years ago in Pittsburgh to clinch a spot. The Blackhawks went in there. I think they won 5-1. It was a significant win. Put some goals up late in the game, 5-2. So you never know how these things are going to play out. The Jackets fans are watching. They're hoping. We'll see if their season will be extended tonight with some good play from the Hawks. But obviously the biggest game on the slate tonight in Montreal, Demidov's debut, and the Canadiens looking to clinch a playoff spot. Out west, there's still a little runway, too. It was a crazy weekend because the Minnesota Wild, they were losing to Vancouver Saturday night 2-0 late in the game, and it looked like they were going to lose. They rallied in the third, won the game in overtime. The Blues were losing their game as well. They rallied to win. Flames just keep finding ways to win their game, so there's a look. Now, Minnesota and St. Louis have their fate in their hands. They win, they're in their final game.
Right.
Calgary Flames, hoping for that, just like the Columbus Blue Jackets, hoping for maybe a door to squeeze open. They would have to win their last two games against Vegas and LA, but those teams probably have very, very little to play for as they're getting ready for the postseason. So I guess anything can happen, but give the Calgary Flames credit. They've forced the issue here, and they've forced Minnesota and St. Louis to have to win those last games.
Yeah, and it's been Igor Sharangovich who has been scoring lately for those Calgary Flames. He's been, and you know why? Because he changed his pregame meal to salmon. That's what I read. Because he went from chicken and rice to salmon. Yeah. Which he's getting the omega-3, the fats, the good fats in there.
Yep.
I think it was the Belarusian, who, by the way, scored his 100th career goal, just the third ever from Belarus to do that in the NHL. I guess it was his wife who told him to change things up. So the lesson there, always listen to your wife.
Yeah.
All right. So he's scoring goals. Calgary's now 5-1-2 in their last 8 games. And to your point, they are forcing the matter. They are forcing the Wild in Minnesota to have to play high level, the highest level possible, to have their antenna up. This Calgary team, I give full props to Coach Huska there. I do. Nobody expected them to be anywhere near, at least I didn't each. I don't know if you did, Bud. I didn't have them at this point this year. So good for them. And you see the Minnesota game and the St. Louis game. Now, St. Louis isn't playing, great lately. Yeah. Minnesota, you mentioned they come back. Zuccarello with the OT winner after being down 2-0 in that game and scored 3 goals, 2 in the third, 1 in OT. It feels like Minnie and St. Louis should get this, but I'll go back to your point 2 minutes ago. You never know what's going to happen here. It just feels like those two teams will have more of the driver's seat cover taken there.
Yeah, it's been a kind of strange stretch run this year, and you never know how things are going to play out. Minnesota only needs 1 point, by the way. They just get the game to overtime against Anaheim at home in Minnesota tomorrow night. They will clinch a playoff spot. St. Louis will need the 2 points. Calgary obviously has to get a break and then win their games down the stretch. And for Minnesota today, they're getting another addition to the team. Zeev Buium, who signed with the team after completing his season at the University of Denver. He's on the ice. You can see here a little video from Joe Smith. And Zeev Buium, who was a 2-time gold medal winner at the World Junior Championships for Team USA, as well as a national champion with Denver last year. Got to the Frozen Four again this season with Denver, but now signs, and you can see projected pairs. I can tell you this, though. Down the road, they could have Buium and Faber there as a lefty-righty top pair if they want. Wow, that's a pretty nice setup. And you think they went out and got Juracek from Columbus as a guy playing in the minors, still a young player that could develop into, he was a high draft pick. So, I mean, they've got some really good ones there. Faber, we already know. And for Buium, it looks like he's going to be in the lineup against the Ducks tomorrow night.
Zeev is a special player. Man, I've had a chance to watch him play a handful of times. And tied with Cole Hudson for leading the nation in points by D-man. I think it was 48, memory serves correct. And he is so cerebral. It's that new age, new era defenseman partner where their creativity is off the charts. They're trying things, and for them, it's almost second nature. But they're willing to try things. Sometimes they make you have like a big gulp, like, oh no, be careful, with the puck, making plays at your own blue line and stuff. But for them, it's what they've been doing. They've been ingrained in their hockey soul since they've been little kids to just be creative. We're seeing it with Lane Hudson, Cole Hudson. We're seeing it with Buium. We're seeing it with others. The Hughes brothers. I mean, the way that they maneuver, the ability, the agility, and he's one of those players. But I go back to the cerebralness of his game. This guy is also he's got a real high threshold, man, meaning he doesn't panic, right? Out there, and he's patient. So I'm really excited to see him develop as a Minnesota Wild. And you talk about him in Faber, whether they're together. I know Spurgeon's a little older. He's out right now, but don't forget about him too. In theory, and Juracek is a great point by you as well. Young defenseman, if he can get it together next year, and they got a lot of money there too because they're losing some guys off their cap because of cap retention stuff. They could make some moves there in Minnie.
Yeah, it'll be interesting times for sure. But that's a great pickup, and we are hearing that Spurgeon and Middleton could play. John Hynes said they could play tomorrow night, so it'll give them a lot of different options. We'll see which way they decide to go there. But the Minnesota Wild just need 1 point tomorrow night, and they get in the playoffs with some added additions and a healthier group. Who knows what kind of trouble they could be if indeed they finish the job and get into the postseason. Speaking of guys hoping to play in the postseason and teams, how about Gabriel Landeskog? He's back. Got to play this weekend, a couple of games for the Colorado Eagles. He ended up getting a goal. It's been a long, long wait for Gabriel Landeskog. Hadn't played in a professional game since June of 2022. And you can see there the surgeries and the issues he's dealt with, been pretty well documented. But he played both those AHL games, goal and assist, 4 shots, 2 PIMs. So Gabriel Landeskog, it was great to see a lot of the Avalanche players and management people made the trip to support him. It's going to be really fascinating to watch because, people right away, Billy, and we'll talk about it now. Like, what do we expect, right, from Gabriel Landeskog? It's hard to really know, and it's such a day-to-day thing because, there's a lot of energy, right? A lot of excitement to play these games. As he starts to play more, plays another AHL game, and let's say he gets in the lineup in the postseason, right? You don't know how that body is going to react. So it's hard to know what he can contribute, but we know this much. He's their captain, he's a leader, and he has been a big part of that franchise for many years, and they've got to be thrilled to at least have the opportunity to maybe get him back in the lineup at just the right time.
Well, you would think they're thrilled just to have not just their captain, but their friend back. And I know that maybe sounds kind of cheesy, but, these guys are great friends. And it's always fun. Hey, I was happy to see you. You're an old friend of mine. I was happy to see you today. I'm excited.
Come on.
Imagine it hasn't been over 1,000 days like it has been for Landeskog since he last played an NHL game. Yeah. But this is not like a player who's been out for, let's say, 3 months on long-term injured reserve and then comes back. Kucherov comes to mind. There's others, Mark Stone, et cetera. Because those players had started the season with the team, right? Yeah. Now, you still had uncertainty about how their bodies would handle things, but this is real uncertainty. This is major surgeries, plural. This is a lot of concern, consternation. If he's ever going to be able to do anything, forget even this, but does he ever be able to live a normal life with that knee of his? And now he's showing that he has all those points and the shots, and it came in game 2. Game 1, he felt okay. Yeah. Game 2, he got more into a rhythm. You can see the reaction. Yeah. If you're watching right there, right, that his team gave to him after scoring a goal. So I think that, listen, if he can come back and just be around the team regularly at morning skates, play enough. Now, the biggest question I have, not just the body, but this is a team, that has had so many new players brought in this year. So many new players. And it's worked, at least so far on paper, right? You think about the goaltenders, plural. You think about all the moves around trade deadline. You think even about the new guys to start the year. You're talking probably 10-plus guys. Now, you're bringing your captain back who's been out for all this time. Yes, he's been around the team, but what does that do also to the team? And how much can you play him? Can he handle playing 15 minutes, 16 minutes a game? Or is he going to be an 8 to 12-minute guy? What does that do to him? What does that do to the team? It's going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm trying to count up, Billy, their guys. I mean, I got 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. With the goalies, I have at least 9, and I'm just giving a quick look. So you're right. There's been a lot of new pieces in there. I mean, something that I think was a good note is last night they're playing the Anaheim Ducks. The game doesn't mean anything. They got half their star players not even playing in the game, and yet they're down 2-0 to an Anaheim Ducks team that was playing at home in their last home game, had a 2-0 lead. The Avalanche rallied in that game and won 4-2. So, those are the kind of things I'm sure that the guys in that room were feeling good about the ability to rally in that game. This is a talented group. You're right. They got a lot of new guys in the mix, but, boy, oh boy. That first-round matchup, Billy, right? Dallas and Colorado. I said it could start on Saturday. Wow. I mean, that's going to be such a battle.
Mammoth. We could, emphasis on, we know that matchup's going to happen. Yeah. If we get a Florida-Tampa series in the first round, that's still an if, that's mammoth as well. Those are 2 fun series. But that Colorado team, you notice, I think Charlie Coyle had at least, I think it was a goal and an assist, maybe even more than that last night. So you're seeing some of these new guys, they've still got something to play for as they're getting to know their team in Colorado better. And they want to contribute. They want to contribute each significantly before the playoffs, so they earn the trust factor from the coaches and their teammates come playoff time, that they know they can count on them. So when you see guys like Nelson and Coyle producing like we did last night in their comeback over Anaheim, that's important for them. Yeah. It is, and it's important for those individual players.
No question about it. So Avalanche, they're done right now. So they are just waiting for the playoffs to start. Like I said, could be Saturday against Dallas. We will wait and see for the official announcement of the playoff schedule as things get further along down the week. Let's talk about the Oilers, because the Oilers play the LA Kings tonight. Now, they're going to play in the first round of the playoffs. Here's a tweet from our buddy Jack Michaels. McDavid and Hyman out only tonight. Could be in for Game 82. Stetcher likely back for the playoffs. Could see another emergency recall on D for tonight. Evander Kane's status for the first game of the playoffs remains uncertain, but Chris Knobloch says looking good. So the Oilers, they've got some issues, and here's the one that's the biggest. Mattias Ekholm will miss the first round of the playoffs due to injury, and that's right from the coach, Chris Knobloch. So he is such an important piece of the puzzle for the Oilers in terms of defending, killing penalties, locking down leads, playing against the top players on other teams. I cannot understate how important he is to their team. And, I mean, wow, that's going to be tough for them against an LA team that's probably eager to kind of settle some old scores, having lost to the Oilers in each of the last 3 first rounds.
Answer me this, my friend. What ends up winning championships?
Defense.
Defense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And he is their defensive defenseman. Now, I also, by the way, having worked the Cup last year from ringside and watching him, and he can contribute offensively as well. He's got a good shot. I mean, I wouldn't call him, they rely so much on Bouchard. It's obvious that that's where the offense goes from the back end. But I like Matty Ekholm from there, and I just like his presence.
Yeah.
I like how much, if I'm an Oiler person, I know from literally day one since he was traded there, he talked about how much he was looking forward to it, how much his family likes it there. That's very important. And he really established himself as a major contributor to this team once he got traded from Nashville there. So it's a major loss as far as I'm concerned. And, all you care about is the first round of the playoffs, because that's all you have guaranteed right now as the Oilers, that you made it to the first round. But that always scares me, that we're already talking week to week with Matty Ekholm, because that usually means more than that, 3-4 weeks to me, minimum. But that's me getting ahead of myself here. I couldn't agree with you more, bud. Major loss. Because he will establish presence out there for them. He will help with matchups, big-time matchups at home. And so, you can have all the scoring in the world, but what do you also need for that scoring? You need the puck. You need to get the puck out of your zone to get it up to those guys that they can make, play. So we'll see how it affects them. But that's a bad loss for that team early on.
No question about it. Now, the Kings, including tonight, have 3 games left against the Oilers tonight. Oilers have 2 games, one more at San Jose.
And LA at home, each.
Yeah.
LA at home, right?
And it's been important, right? LA has been really good at home this year. They have a 2-point cushion right now. Even if they lose tonight, they could still end up with home ice. So there you can see the standings in the Pacific. I mean, that battle for that, they're going to play. It just matters where they start and where Game 7 would be if necessary. As I mentioned, Oilers have beaten the Kings, and they've done it with improving ease with each time. 3 years ago it was a 7-game series. 2 years ago, 6 games. Last year, 5 games. But I think the Kings are a better group this year. They've been really good at home. And, this will be a tougher challenge, particularly for an Oiler team, like we say, that has been banged up. I mean, Skinner got back in goal last night, played pretty well in a game where the Winnipeg Jets did not play a lot of players. And again, here is the lineup look for the LA Kings tonight. It seems like to me, Billy, that the Oilers are almost saying, hey, we got to get ready to open the series. Yep. So if we have to play in LA, we'll play in LA. We went to the final last year. We beat these guys 3 times. We're going to worry about us. But it's going to be more, I think it's just going to be more of a challenge this year.
I haven't checked the weather, but they also might be saying, look, we'd love to spend 4 full days in LA. We have no problem with getting better weather than what we have in Alberta. I'm just going to guess that's a little bit warmer right now. I mean, I know it's cliche, but you got to win on the road if you're going to be a Stanley Cup champ. You just have to. You cannot get so absorbed in the fact that you might have to start on the road. And if you're the Edmonton Oilers with arguably 2, the greatest player and another one of the greatest players, offensive players in the world on your roster, that you're going to be okay. But I would say that home ice would seem to be a bigger deal for LA than for Edmonton. With that said, LA's been dominant at home. They've only lost a couple of games in regulation at home, and they can, if they're LA, I guess you can either A, really use it to your advantage and take it to the Oilers this year, or B, if you happen to lose one of those games at home, all of a sudden you get real uptight, like, oh no, we're not supposed to lose here, and that could work against them.
Yeah, 31-5-4 at home for the LA Kings this year. That's as good as it gets. One other note about the Oilers, and I want to get your thoughts on this young guy. They signed Quinn Hudson, and you can see it here from the Oilers. Signed Quinn Hudson to a 2-year entry-level contract. The forward scored 23 goals and had 27 assists in 37 games for the Terriers this year to rank second in all of NCAA ice hockey in points per game. Now, he is the brother of Lane and Cole, and not drafted, so he could sign. And give me your thoughts. Like, you watch this guy play. So what do you think? I mean, what is the development path like been for him? And can he have some impact for the Oilers?
I think so. His development has been interesting, Eej, in that, he's the older brother of them. And so he, as you mentioned, undrafted. And he came in when Lane came into BU, and by no means an afterthought, but they came in together because he did the regular thing of taking extra time, like what 98% of kids do in college, right? Yep. They take the extra minimum 1, if not 2 extra years before they go there. And so he ends up going there to BU, loves scoring goals, and he has progressed each year to be a more prolific, get the word out, goal scorer for this team. He's hungry for him, and pretty good straight line player. I wouldn't call, he's got skill, but I think at the next level, he's got to play straight line type hockey. He has got tireless work ethic. And can he help them? Well, he's definitely going to be energized. They need some bodies right now. It'll be good for him. Can he help them come playoff time? That's yet to be seen. That's such a different level than anything. But he's a little bit older, so he's got a little more physical maturity to his game. And so I think that would give him a little bit better chance to be that guy that could help him come playoff time, or at least be a body there that could help.
Could be in there. Family pedigree tells me 2 things about him. He's probably got a great hockey sense because that family is a pretty bright family. There's certainly a lot of hockey sense there. And he's also going to be competing like heck because those 2 other kids, Cole and Lane, compete. I can't imagine their older brother is going to be any different in that regard. So congratulations to Quinn. We wish him nothing but the best there with the Edmonton Oilers as he moves on from BU. With that, we will take a quick break, Jeff, and we got the 3 stars of the week coming up next. Who made the list? The top. Might be that guy. Take a look next on First Shift. It is time for the 3 stars of the week presented by Geico. And, okay, now 2 of these guys, we see them a lot on this list, right? Connor Hellebuck, Connor McDavid. Jed Greaves, welcome to the club. Look at this, 3-0. Comes up, .968 save percentage. This kid has played pretty well during the year when he's been asked to play in this league. He's played 9 games this year. He has a .926 save percentage. He had a shutout. So, Jeff, the question I have, and here's a tweet from Mike Kelly. 3 starts in 4 nights, all wins to keep the Jackets season alive. You can see the numbers there. Perfect from the inner slot. Undersized, undrafted. Love to see it, and I'm with Mike on that. The question I have is, why didn't we see this guy sooner in the season? He's had a lot of success in the American League with Cleveland. He played there this year and was playing well again. It's not like the Jackets have had, Sergei Bobrovsky is gone. He left the Jackets years ago. They haven't been getting great goaltending from Merzlikins. And this would have been a guy I would have think they would have called him up sooner or given him more time sooner. They asked the coach about it. He said, well, that's a Donnie Waddell thing. Ask him, which I think he later kind of moved off that. But you can see here, Tarasov and Merzlikins, those aren't great numbers. The Jackets scored a lot of goals this year. If they got a little better goaltending, they might be sitting in a playoff spot right now. I think sometimes you got to take a chance, Billy. The Blues did with Jordan Binnington 5-6 years ago. That's a great example. It worked out. I would have done it earlier.
Yeah, especially given that Tarasov, you could tell, was not really in their plans that much. Yeah. I think they wanted him to be. I think they wanted the image of him to be, their goalie, but they didn't. At one point, they hardly played him. I don't remember how many games in a row, but they didn't play him at all, and he struggled an awful lot. Merzlikins has been the guy there. I'm with you. I'm middling on him each.
Yeah. He's up and down. He's been very inconsistent.
Well, that's the point.
There's nights when he's excellent, but there's a lot of nights when he's not. And for me, when I look at these guys, Billy, the two guys that they have there, we know what they've done. The other guy in the minors has had some success in the minors. When we've called him up, he's played pretty well. Listen, sometimes it's better to take a chance on the guy you're not sure of. You know the other two guys are going to be inconsistent at best.
Right, especially given the trajectory of this Columbus team.
Yeah.
In that we did not expect them to be where they are.
No.
And so as Donnie Waddell has taken stewardship of this team from a GM perspective, really find out what you have, what do you want to build with? Is this enough sample size now for them to say, all right, Jet Greaves will be our number 2 or will be part of our top 2 goaltenders next season? Not to get too far ahead since we haven't even hit the offseason yet, but maybe. I'm with you as well. You always wonder, now we've got the beautiful seats from the outside looking in.
Yeah.
But this is what we do. We talk about things like this. So I would say because of his he's not huge, as Mike Kelly's tweet talked about. He's only like 6 foot, 194 pounds. By today's standards, that's small for an NHL goalie, right? 6'2" seems to be the minimum, but he's athletic. He's focused. I've seen him play on TV a couple of times. You like what you see? Why not give him a go? And guys respect the heck out of guy. I mean, he was in the Coast a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
So they respect the heck out of it. He's worked his backside off to become a bona fide professional goaltender.
Hey, Dustin Wolf is not the biggest guy either. Now, it's a little different story, but he's been – it's funny, these two teams that are kind of on the cusp of trying to get in still, right? Calgary's leaning on Dustin Wolf, who's been great and has worked his way through their minor league system, and they gave him the opportunity. This year, Jet Greaves was watching Greaves and now gets a chance. He's playing well. So we'll see what happens down the stretch, but you could make the argument it probably should have happened a little bit sooner, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Canadiens tonight. Canadiens win tonight, doesn't much matter anymore for the Jackets, so we will see. When we come back, hey, what a surprise. More news out of Rangerville, and it's not good. We'll talk about it next on First Shift.
3 Stars of the Week is presented by Geico. Switch and save. Get more with Geico.
Here is a tweet from the NHL Department of Player Safety. New Jersey's Paul Cotter has been suspended for 2 games for an illegal check to the head against New York Honors Adam Pelech. And Jeff, I thought that he was going to get a couple of games for this. Comes across, finishes that hit up high, right to the head. And, Pelech was hot afterwards. He had a broken jaw this year. He's had a couple other head injuries in his career. And 2-game suspension for Paul Cotter. What do you make of it?
I think actually could have been a little more, but I just do. I mean, it just eventually, what the heck? I mean, what are we doing? That's just my take. I know it's a fast game. I get it. Been hit in the head before, all that stuff. But especially given the Isles are out of it, and I know you play the game to play the game, but that's a hard hit, heavy hit there. No question deserved a suspension. And Pelech has every right to be ticked off, as far as I'm concerned.
Got him right in the head, too, there. So hopefully Adam is going to be okay. Like I said, he's had a broken jaw this year. He's had other issues, head injuries, so we're just hoping he's okay. Paul Cotter will sit the 2 games, and he'll be able to play back in the playoffs. So that's just the way it goes. We got some news from around the New York Rangers, and Molly Walker, who covers the team, does a great job covering for the New York Post. She had this link leading to a story about Calvin DeHaan expressing his frustrations with the Rangers. It stemmed from DeHaan kind of having an exchange with Molly and a couple of reporters on the way to the ice. He said he would talk afterwards. In the end, he talked to Rangers. They said wait till the end of the year. He did release this via Twitter to kind of clear it up. So that's the background. And this is what he tweeted. I said what I said because I am frustrated. And what he said is he was disappointed in the way that he has been treated. Any competitor who says they would be happy in this position would be lying to you. After playing 3 games for the team and going 2-0-1, I thought I would have gotten an opportunity to jump in the lineup and help win some games. Remember, this is a team that was trying to get in the playoffs all the stretch until very, very recently. I understand the youth movement in the NHL, and I'm getting older in hockey years, and I may not play every single night. He added, I feel like I can still contribute and help teams win. And as a player, of course, you have to respect the lineup decisions, whether you like them or not. It's just been frustrating not being able to compete and to do what I love. I hope everybody understands. And maybe we'll hear more from Calvin DeHaan when the Rangers wrap up their season. At the end, he talked about the idea that he would have preferred to discuss those ideas in a scrum setting with reporters. He did initiate it in that back and forth going on to the ice down in Florida for an optional skate. He played in the 3 games, and he points out 2-0-1. Now, he's not pointing to himself as the reason why they won, but there were 2-0-1 in those games. He has not played in the 17 games since, so clearly he was frustrated. He's been around a long time. Jeff, I ask you only because this is unusual that we see this. This is a guy that's been in the league for 700-plus games. He's played on several organizations. Like, for him to be this frustrated tells you that there's, behind the scenes, it just seems like there's always a lack of communication that goes on with this team for whatever reason.
Yeah, well, maybe because they prefer it that way.
Yeah.
How do you control things? You control information, right? And so you keep people guessing. And that's not a great.
But tell your players. I mean, don't you could, you know, the take it from us. I get it.
But I get it. But you know what? Maybe certain organizations don't feel the need that they need. I'm an over communicator, so I feel like that's better in that regard, in that sense. But you know, people disagree with me on that. With all that said, Calvin DeHaan, you mentioned 2-0-1. The team was in those games. He was a +4 in those games.
2 shutouts.
He had 1 assist in that. Yeah, 2 shutouts. And he's brought in to be a defensive defenseman for this team that needed it.
Yeah.
With all that said, sometimes life isn't always fair. We know that.
Correct.
And, you know, coaches are paid to make coaching decisions, whether that is solely on the coach or if it comes down from management to play certain players as well.
Yep.
There's always that relationship or always that factor to consider. I mean, this Ranger team has been incredibly inconsistent defensively this year.
Yeah.
You would think they would like some stability. However, not being there, not being around it, I always say this, I'm not sitting next to guys and talking to them. I appreciate a guy like Calvin DeHaan coming out and stating his case and his feelings very, I thought, eloquently, succinctly. He wanted to get out and get ahead of it because, you know, while the Rangers, maybe the PR people wanted, or the team maybe wanted him to wait till later, these guys are also, you know, allowed to speak. You know, we can't have guys, we can't say some of our players, we want them to speak and have personality, and then when they do, we can't like it.
Yeah.
And, you know, there have been certain teams in this league, let's be honest, certain teams that have not always pushed their players out there as much as we would like, especially from the media side of things. Well, Calvin DeHaan's been there, only played 3 games, only been there for what? You said it's 21 games now total, I think, 20 or 21, whatever.
Yeah.
And not that he's saying I want to be a bad guy. He's saying I'm just gonna talk. I'm just gonna be me here. Here you go. I think it's refreshing. I thought he stated his case very well. I did. No issue with it whatsoever. And yeah, for a team that needs some defensive help at times, I thought I would have expected him to play at least a little bit more.
Yeah, and, you know, 2 things that come to mind. First of all, Billy, you know, we both have coached youth hockey. So let's just start there. It's youth hockey. We are not coaching anywhere near the National Hockey League, right? But that said, and we've been observers for a long time. You played at the University of Michigan. I've been watching this for a long time. I'm a rink rat. I'm always playing and kind of trying to analyze these things. Coaches, when they have a winning lineup, and the Rangers have not had a winning lineup all that often this year. I mean, not nearly enough. They were 2-0-1 with 2 shutouts with him in the lineup. You would think this was a team trying to get in the playoffs, that maybe they leave him in or put him back in from time to time because, to your point, they defend terribly. And that's for the whole team, from forwards, defense, terribly. And that's an issue for the coaching staff, not only for Peter Laviolette, but for all the million assistants they got there as well. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but it ain't much. Based on what we've seen. Well, guys are going backwards. But the other thing I want to add about DeHaan real quick, Billy, is from his standpoint, he's later in his career. He admits that in his remarks. He's trying to find a job for next year. And by sitting out 17 straight games, instead of getting that 1-year, $1 million contract next year maybe, maybe now he's stuck being in a PTO next year. And so that's probably frustrating for him as well, who's for a guy that's trying to continue his career in the league and maybe get to 1,000 games. So I can certainly understand why he'd be ticked.
No doubt about it. He feels he's still young enough to contribute. He's been in this similar role for the last couple of years. Carolina, he was there for a couple of years, comes to mind. He was in and out. So he's accepted that role, maybe even embraced it. He's got himself respect throughout the league. These are regular season games, 679. You add up the playoffs, over 700. He is not a fancy defenseman. It's all right. But I don't disagree with you at all. Is that, he was in a position to go to the Rangers, and I think he probably was like, all right, I'm going to help them. Thinking I can help them. Not only then can I help them, I can help myself. Yeah. And let's face facts. Each team is comprised of basically 23 independent contractors when it's all said and done. Yeah. And so while you have to be a team first guy, you do have to care about yourself as well. And that's not selfish. No. That's the job of a player. And then you've got your agent to help you figure things out. Mm-hmm. And it's the job of a manager and a coach to manage those 23 different independent contractors. How do you bring them together to form a cohesive unit? I would think if there's a guy that could help you there. And again, I'm not sitting in that room, or I'm not sitting in the coach's office. So they may have something different that they think about him. And that's what coaching's about.
That's
you might think that one guy's good and each I might not. But on the other hand, on the surface, it seems like he could have played a bit more. Yeah. That just seems that way from my eyes as well.
It'll be interesting when the season does end, not to hear from just Calvin DeHaan, but to hear from a lot of the different Rangers on their thoughts. And we'll see if any of them is willing to be forthcoming, because to say there has been smoke around this team all year would be a dramatic understatement.
Well, the guys who have been traded.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guys who have come out and talked basically have been traded. So let's see if there's maybe more guys that want to get traded or don't care if they get traded.
Yeah. I'll be interested to hear how forthcoming guys are willing to be. Certainly someone like Chris Kreider, who's been there for a long time. He's played his whole career with the New York Rangers. So that will be coming up, I'm sure, later in the week. Coming up next, there's been some players that have had really interesting breakout seasons, including that guy right there. Donato has been really good for the Blackhawks this year. We'll talk breakout players from this season. That's next on First Shift. Good story in the Athletic. Scott Powers. How did the Blackhawks' Ryan Donato go from a 12 to 16 goals a season score to 31 this year? The answer starts with a week in Florida last offseason, so check that out if you can. His work with a skating coach down there, working wonders. He's had a great year, and Billy, the background there with with Ryan having played. I believe he played at Harvard for his dad, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yep. And then he's bounced around a little bit, but he's really found his way with with Chicago this season.
He's been awesome with Chicago. He's so happy there. He's hoping to sign an extension there. It's the plan. 31 goals this season. He does look like a new skater to me. The skating coach was Brett Strott down in the Wesley Chapel, the Florida area down there. Mm-hmm. And I was watching Ryan the other night, and I've known Ryan for a long time. And I said to Barry Peterson, who I work with, he looks like a different skater. He looks stronger out there. Yeah. And he does more powerful, more straight line with his attack. And he just looks very confident driving inside the dots to get the puck. And it's little things, but like you're inside quicker than defense can't get the stick on top of you, et cetera. So good for him. Couldn't have happened at a better time given his contract situation, but also where he's at, late 20s, turning 30 years old, just had a baby girl in the last year. And this is a guy that, is in a good spot to make a nice, sizable bump in his contract, and he's earned it. This is the type of thing you're not done when you turn 30 years old. You're just not.
No. Yeah, listen, I did a bunch of Blackhawks games this year. They were on the showcase a number of times. I was really impressed with his work ethic and his ability to get to areas and win battles. So congratulations to Ryan on a really great season, and wish him nothing but the best moving forward. And I got two other guys. I'll group them together for you because you see Morgan Geekie a lot. He's had a great year with the Bruins playing alongside Pastrnak. And then Alexei Protas of the Washington Capitals, who just took off. Now, he's hurt. They're hoping to get him back soon. But both of these guys really elevated this year.
Morgan Geekie has been phenomenal. His ability to create cohesiveness, chemistry with David Pastrnak has been outstanding. His shot, awesome. Last year, career high 17. Then he's getting over 30 this year and still counting with one more game left. His contract is up as well. This was about a player, though, who wanted to come to Boston to take a chance because he wanted more opportunity when he got released from Seattle. So he signed with Boston, and he's proven he can. And it's not that easy to play with a superstar, but yet he's created it. And Protas, the other guy, last year had 6 goals, Brother Each. 6 goals. And this year you're talking 30. I mean, if he puts it up, and this is a big man with soft hands. He's got really good size, obviously at 6'6", but also just his ability from get to point A to point B. And this is a young guy that I feel like's got a mature game. And therefore, he's kind of coming into his own. It doesn't hurt that he's on a team with some other weapons, though, as well. Yeah. And he just becomes part of that gaggle of high-end offensive players.
That's all even strength numbers, too. He had 1 power play point on the season. Amazing. So even strength, that plus 40, Billy. I mean, no, we always talk plus minus. I mean, if you're on a good team, you're going to have a plus, but it doesn't mean you're going to be plus 40. And that's the highest among all forwards, I believe, this season. So he's got another brother, Ilya, that's ripping it up in the Canadian Junior League. And, like, he's also a third-round pick. I mean, the Washington Capitals scouting staff, tip your hat. I mean, to get they just got Leonard. He was a first-round pick, but Cole Hudson, he's going to be a player. And they get both these Protas kids third-rounders. I mean, amazing stuff they've done.
It's what you pay your scouts for, man. This is why these scouting departments never get enough credit for the success of a team. But yet, if they don't draft well, they get absolute, given it to because they don't fill the pipeline. So such an important part. And it's such a hard, inexact science. That's the thing.
Amateur scouting.
It is
young kids.
Tough. Amateur scouting. Yes.
Yeah, very tough.
Hey, you were a plus 40 today. You were a plus 40.
Well,
good job.
I mean, I haven't checked the scale. I might be a plus 40. Anyway, with that, we will move along. Billy, thanks for being with us today. NHL Now is coming up next. We'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the games tonight, everybody.